What's going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadski, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. And what you're seeing right now is going to be the clips that I took on my live stream going up against the latest KIZUNA clash, of course, up against Gecko Moria. And yeah, so first things first, the first team you're seeing here is going to be up against the PSY variation. This is the exact same team that I talked about in my preparation video. Double Momo works really well for this. Now, you do see that I'm using a couple of key units. The free-to-play Shanks, the Dex Shanks, is pretty much required for this team to work. You definitely want to abuse him for sure. Bonnie is just a nice addition because not only does she give basically the whole team a color affinity boost, but she also inflicts increased damage taken, which is just a nice piece of bonus damage. The Luffy on this team, you're seeing that we use it here. Main reason for it is because Luffy has this really neat effect where he can continuously give like different chain buffs as long as you hit 2 perfects per turn, and that 5-turn orb boost is really good, meaning we can use it on stage 1 and carry it all the way to the final stage, but it's not really required. You can basically use whatever you want instead. I just really like using that Luffy because I don't really get to use that Luffy all that much. The tandem ace is also nice too because it allows us to get a chain buff on this stage, but it also carries a chain buff over to the next stage as well, based on how much chain addition we get during this turn. So that's just a nice little piece of extra chain, but again, not really required. You just need, units to provide you with chain buffs for the final stage. And then Luffy, of course, gives us an orb boost, which can carry over to the final stage as well. Momonosuke gives us the attack boost that is carried over to the final stage. There's just lots of really neat effects here that are carrying over throughout the entire duration of the run, giving us plenty of damage for each stage. Moving on to my own personal team that I've built to take on the int variation, this team does crazy numbers. The fact that you have so much damage here, of course, with the orb boost from Brook. We have a really good attack boost from Law and Kid. When we use their super switch to become the dual form and then use the special, the attack boost lasts for 2 turns, which does get around the enemy interrupt that occurs on, it's not really an interrupt, but the intimidate that occurs after level 30, which is good. We have Usopp and Yasop for not only base attack boost, but also giving us a delayed conditional boost that goes through immunity, so that's a nice piece of damage. And then Luffy, of course, gives us color affinity, so we're going to have attack, orb, color affinity, base attack boost, conditional boost, and a couple of chain buffs along the way as well. So seems like a pretty solid team for now, especially due to the fact that we could just abuse like the final taps of some of our characters in order to do some really good damage to the opponent, or we could just use the rush of Luffy if we wanted to do that. So yeah, there's lots of really neat things that we can do to output a pretty serious amount of damage in this content. Moving on now to the next KIZUNA boss, which is versus the quick variation, and for this one, you could legit change the Nami and Robin character out for something else, but the thing about Nami and Robin is they do have the crewmate ability to make int slots beneficial, which is kind of the key reason why they're here, but outside of that, they don't provide much for this team at all. Due to the fact that Alvida actually gives us a chain boost, it means that the 3-turn chain boost from using the 2 Uta specials in the same turn doesn't actually trigger here. So if you could replace Alvida with a new unit that can also not only remove the bind, but also have some type of damage reduction effect, that would be a really good unit to use, so long as it doesn't give a chain addition. Because of the fact that we have to use the the Alvida special first, that is kind of annoying. Realistically, there is actually another way around it. You could use one Uta special on stage 1, being the friend captain Uta, and then use your own Uta on stage 2, and then go ahead and use the Alvida special. So that actually is a way around it that you could potentially do. So just changing the order of operations for the specials actually will make quite a bit of difference. Law and Kid are fantastic. Get that chain boundary, you absolutely love to see it. And then the Yamato is nice too, because the whole team is strikers, right? So you could just go ahead and get a huge color affinity boost from that Yamato, and also a fantastic final tap if you're able to abuse that as well. Looking at my personal team versus the quick variation, this team can definitely do with some changing. One thing that I must admit, and shout out to Stump D Gacha, another content creator, for pointing it out, is that the actual interrupts on this stage, they don't actually interrupt chain multiplicative buffs. They interrupt chain addition, meaning that you can use the Brook Superclass special to actually get a chain addition that way that is uninterruptible, and then when you use the Zoro Sanji special, that will mean that you don't actually trigger the interrupt of the enemy. And the whole reason why Nami is on this team is to deal with the enemy interrupt on the final stage. If you activate a chain addition or a chain boundary, I think, and I think maybe attack boost he triggers on as well, the enemy will go ahead and apply 4 turns of Threshold and 4 turns of Rainbow Shield. So this Nami can remove that for us, which is great. But because we can actually get around the enemy interrupt anyway, Nami is straight up replaceable with basically anything that you want. So that definitely makes a big difference, which is something that you can definitely do for yourself. And because the team is basically all going to be Slasher Free Spirit, Yamato is a great addition, giving us huge color affinity for the entire crew, and the fact that Brook is super effective against all types, he's going to be good in basically every scenario, which is great. Moving on now to the final boss, which is versus the Psy variation. I know many people are going to be asking questions about this one. The Psy variation is the most frustrating boss in this whole Kizuna, including super bosses. Like, I don't know what they were thinking with this. Things would have made things a lot easier if they actually told us what the enemy did after the first turn of attacks. The way that this boss is designed, you can only do 70% of their HP. Do note though that in this boss fight here, that I actually failed a couple of times, so the boss is only at 1 HP, but basically you can only do 70% of the character's HP, meaning that you do the first 70% of health, you have to wait 1 turn, and then you can finally kill the enemy. However, what they don't tell you is that once the first turn has expired, the enemy, Moria, will inflict bind to your left side, and also do like another significant death hit to you. So they do tell you that the enemy, when they die, are gonna do a death hit, but they don't tell you that after one turn has passed, they also do another pretty decent death hit towards you. So be very cautious of that, which is why I have TheLordShiro on this team as well as the Hawkins. So realistically, on the first turn of attacks, you would be using a TheLordShiro special, and then on the second turn, you would activate the Hawkins. That's the way that you would want to do it. Shanks gives us 2 turns of attack and chain boost. The Robin Koala gives us multiple turns of color affinity and an orb boost, so make sure to use the super switch, then use their special to make full effect of that. And then, as I said, turn 1, use TheLordShiro special to tank the first hit, and then use Hawkins on the secondary turn to tank the bigger death hit when you finally kill Gecko Moria. And also, Queen as captain is fantastic for this, using that captain action to avoid the despair on the final stage, and also the captain action provides a bit of additional damage that's required in order to kill the Ryuma mini boss on stage 2. So there are a little bit of annoying gimmicks on this Psy fight, however with the Brook in mind, Brook definitely makes things a lot better, as his special ability allows you to basically tank any hit from the enemy so long as your health is above a certain threshold. So that makes things, as I said, a little bit easier, as you just don't have to worry about bringing damage reduction units, as Brook can kind of carry that a little bit. Another thing as well that I didn't even know heading into this was my first run of this, I recorded the Brook runs first, is I actually went ahead and used the Luffy special. So the Luffy, the 10th anniversary Luffy, he delays the enemy through status effects. The thing is that if you delay Gecko Moria on the final stage, he doesn't perform the first death hit at all. Like legit, if you delay Moria, he doesn't do anything to you after that first turn. So if you have the 10th anniversary Luffy, that's also another way to mitigate one of those death hits. So you can use Luffy on the first turn, you get the major attack boost and stuff, you delay him, you get the full board of matching slots, do some damage, and then on the next turn, that's when you can activate your damage nullification or your damage reduction effect to tank the death hit of Gecko Moria. This team also utilizes Queen for stage 2 just because it makes things a lot easier. And then we also have the Law and Beppo, which is a new unit that I pulled from one of the recent tickets during Treasure Map. Wanted to use this unit because we can just go ahead and use the conditional boost from them. They remove Despair as well, which is something that we actually needed for the final stage. Chopper for color affinity, of course, and then Luffy for the attack boost, Brook for orb boost. You absolutely love to see it. That's going to wrap it up for me, though. Thank you so much for watching the video. I will have a Super Boss video up for you probably later on tomorrow, so definitely stay tuned to the channel for that one. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to go ahead and leave a like, and if you want to stay up to date with all the content I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. And that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.